say the name of the boat?
Zhuhai. Zhuhai. So in China, the next leg, I am going to the port of Zhuhai. So I imagine there'll be some big celebrations. One of the skippers I sail with now, I sail on a Volvo 60. I work as a mate on it. And the skipper from that was a clipper skipper in 2010, and he was on the boat Qingdao. And when they went into the port of Qingdao, huge celebrations, and they went to a big conference hall, and the boat has arrived. It has sailed, I don't know how many weeks, 2 weeks. It's freezing cold. The crew, you wear every single item of clothing you have. They go into the conference hall. They're still all in their sailing gear, essentially. No one has showered in a couple weeks. No one has any extra clothes. They're peeling off all their clothes, sort of getting more aromatic as they go. But as they went into the hall, they took a picture of each crewmate. And when they had dinner there, they had Qingdao beer, and they had, in that time, put the picture, each crew's picture, on their own can of beer. And the next day, there was a big event downtown they went to, and the skipper's picture from that picture for the beer was on a huge banner on one of the buildings downtown. So China's working really hard to promote sailing, and they're doing a lot with it. One of the final moments with me in my full gear, you can see my safety tether. They're always tethered on. I love doing foredeck. I love helming. I love doing foredeck. I didn't do so much here. I didn't do so much because I told my kids I wouldn't. I said it's a Southern Ocean, and I don't want to chance it. And the last race was 22 people overboard. Probably 80% of them were on the foredeck when they went over. So I was always tethered on, but I didn't do as much foredeck as I would have liked. So we went from that, and in the final couple days, we actually had some sunny weather, and could go back to being shorts and t-shirts and start drying our gear out. This is us coming up to the finish. So we were mid-fleet in this race, so we were okay. We had some tricky times, not with the weather, not in any way with the weather. The weather was fine. I had moments where I was tired. I had moments where I was cold. We had tricky times with the skipper. He was he's a really skilled skipper. He's been around the world 3 times. He has set 5 ocean racing records. He's not the right person to be a clipper skipper because he doesn't know how to work with people that are building up their sailing skills still. So there was a lot of really tricky moments with him, and I ended up, as a watch leader, I had to put a lot of energy into mediating issues between him and the whole crew. And halfway through the race, he did one-on-ones with everyone to find out how it was going, what they thought. And the crew were honest, kind, but honest. Many of the crew told him that when they got ashore, they were going to go to Clipper and ask to have him fired. Which I didn't think was the best thing to do in the middle of the ocean. We still had 2,000 miles to go. So, anyway, we got through that. And we got a little message. Okay. So race is over. We are putting the sails away. I put this up to show you it really is. Anything you do on the boat is such a team effort because of the size of it and the weight of it. Oh. Yeah, it's coming in. Sorry, I'm getting a battery error here. So this is as we came up to the dock. Australia is quite strict. You're not allowed off the boat. You have to go through customs and immigration, which is fine. You also have to go through food inspection. So we could not get off the boat. We could not communicate with anyone on shore until we went through all of that. But this is our a little moment to celebrate after 24 days of being on the water, being back at shore again. Navigation station, top left instrument is our log. 5,145 miles we sailed. one of the little clipper banners. So this is what the overall race is. Yeah, it's a good distance. So you can imagine if you take a year and you do this, how much your sailing is going to improve, and probably how much you're going to change as a person having a year on the water and pushing yourself that hard, working with people that hard. It's quite an experience. This is one of the other boats. You'll notice the wheel on the left is missing. It got taken out by, got a video I'm going to try and grab. It got taken out by a wave. This is one of my little happy moments, I guess, at the wheel, when the media reporter got that. And I put this in as our closing picture. I am going to see if I can do this. Give me 1 second. Go up to the top end on this one. Woo. Okay, here we go. You're not going to get the audio. This is the race. This is on, most of it's on our boat. Yeah, so sometimes 10 knots, basic hull speed 8 to 10 knots. Basic.
Can we have our mic back, please? Ladies?
Yeah, they're working on it.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, okay. Basic hull speed is 8 to 10 knots. You could easily be going 20 to 25 knots. So 29 knots sometimes. Some of that just depends on what you can manage at the wheel. They're so hard to steer, and when you're going that fast, and if you misjudge it, and with the wave coming behind you, whatever, you're going to crash jibe, and you're in trouble then. So we had 2 crash drives, but you have preventers on, so you have a line from the end of your boom going around to the bow. So even if the boat does jibe, the boom cannot swing all the way across, and it slows it down. So you're not so likely to do damage to the boat. Or a person. Yeah. A couple of the other stories from this race. One of the boats, after leaving Cape Town, a few days out, someone on their boat had appendicitis.
Oh my God.
So they actually had a surgeon on the boat, and you have a full kit. These boats have full medical kits. But they ended up ducking into Durban. It took about 4 days to get up to Durban to offload them and get them on shore. On the way, in some of the storm weather that we just saw, one of their crew fell into the winch, took out all their teeth.
Oh.
So you have moments of serious injury if you're not paying attention, if you're not holding on, if you're not looking out. Or if you're just unlucky. So that's why I was saying that you'll see pictures in your video, and you see the crew sitting down below in the cockpit. It truly is it's for your safety. So I had one way, when you're helming, you have someone at the wheel, you have someone beside you. So if a wave comes, someone else can grab the wheel if you get taken out, if you get knocked out by it. But I was standing next to the helming cage there, and a wave came behind into me. I felt like I'd been hit by a truck, like the force was just so strong. So.
Are there any comments or questions? You actually paid to do this?
Yes.
How do the men and women get along on the
Fine, no worries. We had 4 women crew, and I'm gonna do that, 15 guys. No worries. And really, it's such a small space. Whatever you don't care about anything. You know, if you're changing clothes or whatever, you are doing it where you're doing it. Although quite frankly, it is so cold, you're not changing clothes. So I had 2 thermal underlayers, and maybe once a week you change. And all your outer layers, you just wear continuously. You never take it off. Yes?
What was the average age of the crew?
Ooh, you know what? It's on one of the first slides. I'm going to say probably 50.
Wow.
I would say the most people that are there are British men. It's a British organization, this Clipper race. I think a lot of people, same to Diane, you meet some really remarkable individuals. You meet people that are doing this. It could be young, it could be in their 20s and they're on a gap year, or they're started their job and maybe they don't like it so much and they want a new challenge. You meet a lot of people doing this that want a chance to grow again as a person. Some people have had cancer. A couple of the guys I train with have lost their children. You hear some sort of hardship stories, and people have gotten through it, and they are ready for a new challenge, and they are ready to live life again, and they are ready to push themselves and to experience things. So they're very remarkable individuals. Yeah.
You and I, we could talk for probably the rest of the day about a whole bunch of stuff. But one of the things I was thinking when you're talking about steering, a lot of big boats offshore, they have who is ever at the helm and somebody is at the other wheel, and they say, well, Harry, do you have it? Brian, do you have it? And you have a little bit of help. Did you ever?
We did that. We would generally we'd be on the windward wheel. You saw what happened with the leeward one, and there was a couple times, you're sort of fighting it. You know those times you're starting to go out of control and you're trying to get it, and you would have someone else pull on the wheel with you. But again, our boat on a previous race had hit a whale. They replaced the rudder. I think the one rudder is askew, like it's always pulling a bit to port. But you would be steering, and there would be time, you would just get the kickback, and it was like a rifle going off, like it literally throw you backwards, the force from the wheel, and it would, but yes, we would do, with 2 people on the wheel at times. Yes?
I I'm curious when you mentioned you couldn't see anything at night. Many years ago, I did several days in Georgian Bay, and the first night we were on a tall ship. And when I went up above, I had a flashlight, and the head guy yelled at me to shut it off. And it was pitch black, no moon, clouds. You couldn't see a thing. And he said, "You will get night vision."
You do get night vision.
So I wondered about that.
You do get night vision. It's just very limited. And certainly when there's a full moon it was great. We could see lots. But otherwise, it's pretty limited. And you realize how much, when you're sailing in the daytime, how much you're taking in the whole time around you when you're helming or you're playing the sail. When that's taken away from you at night, it's a much different game. It's much more tricky for sailing, especially if it's. We had funny waves. We had cross waves coming, so you'd have really funny wave patterns. We got for days on end, so it made it really hard to helm in. Yeah.
One more. A couple of things I love. Your picture of the clock and what helmet. I have some friends, both male and female, have done several Whitbread and now Volvo around the world races. And one I remember, I think it was King's Legend, and on the coffee grinder it said in magic marker permanent, "I really love the Southern Ocean." So when I saw your clock, I thought, oh my God, those people, they must have known it.
We had a squid come landed on the deck. So yeah.
So did you have it for lunch?
We didn't, but on the first race they did. So we have a Chinese boat. There's 2 Chinese ambassadors on each leg of our race, and the first leg they cooked it up for breakfast.
They could have mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you ever use self-steering?
No.
It's just too impractical.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just not allowed for racing. We're racing. It's not. There's no. It's only you got to be on the wheel. We lost one wheel for about 7 hours during a crash drive. The steering cable broke, so we were down to one wheel, and we managed to repair it. But you only have again what you have. So the previous race, one of the skippers in the Southern Ocean, they lost one wheel, double-wheeled boat. So they were and when the crew said, "Well, Skip, what's the chance of the other wheel going?"
Should never
He said, "Not likely." And like 5 minutes later, the other wheel went. Different problem. And then you have your the tiller. It's a silly system on these boats. It's very short. It's sort of the height of my knee, and you have a couple. They call them handy billies. With rope system, and it's backwards to how you would steer. You're doing 20, 25 knots with a little rope system trying to control the boat. I think it took them about 2 days to repair the wheels. So a little part broke on the inside. They didn't have a replacement. So they took like a bolt and they cut and filed it and made the new metal part. They had to do it by hand on the ocean.
How do you deal with glasses?
I mean, you tie them on, and you every time you go on deck, you fresh water on your glasses, and that's what it is. Lots of people have glasses.
Yes.
Yeah. I take 2 sets in case I lose it overboard, but.
If you have any other questions, you can come up and speak with Melodie afterwards while she has a nice little glass of wine. Melodie, I'd like to thank you so much. That was such an interesting presentation, and I really like the way you showed us what it took to get on board in the first place. It's a big process. And then, as somebody said here, and you paid for this? I'd like to give you a little token of our appreciation. Thank you so much. And I wish you Godspeed, fair winds on your next 2 legs. And perhaps you'll come back and tell us a little bit about those. So let's give her a nice big round of applause.
Bravo!
And next week we have Sue and Dave Williams, and they're going to share us the story that Sue wrote in a book called Ready to Come About, a compelling memoir of an improbable adventure on the high seas. And then the following week, we have Mary Margaret McMahon, who is the Director of Community Sidewalk Labs, and Kate Festeriga, and they'll join us from Sidewalk Labs in Toronto to speak to us about the master planned community that is currently being planned for 12 acres of the Toronto waterfront. And with that, pipes out.